Good morning, students of Bucks County. My name is Diane Marseglia. I am chair of the Bucks County Commissioners. There are 3 commissioners in Bucks County. I am joined by Bob Harvey and Jean DiGirolamo today, and you'll get to meet them in just a second. We are meeting virtually with you today, so we may look like we are in similar places with our bookshelves, but we are each in our own office. So we are more than 6 feet apart, otherwise we would have masks on. So we're happy to talk to you. We invited all students from kindergarten through 12th grade to be on here today. We wanted to share some information about Bucks County, and we were hoping that you would ask us some questions. Just for a little background, I have been a commissioner here in Bucks County for 12 years. Before I was a Bucks County commissioner, I was a social worker in the Pennsbury School District, and I actually graduated from Pennsbury. Right now, I live in the Neshaminy School District. So that's some information on me. I am going to pass this off to Commissioner Bob Harvey, but I'm going to ask him first if he knows what the official fish of Bucks County is. Do you know, Commissioner Harvey?
I do not know the official fish. I know a couple of the official things. I don't know the official fish. Now,
okay, the official fish is a catfish.
I was actually thinking catfish.
Okay, well, I'd like to introduce you all to Commissioner Bob Harvey.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Marseglia, and thank you for all of everybody who's joining us today. My name is Bob Harvey, and I am one of the 3 commissioners that Commissioner Marseglia talked about. We are here in our offices, which are in Doylestown, which is what they call the county seat, which is basically the same thing as a sort of capital city for the county. All the major offices for the county government are here. There's a courthouse, which is actually, I'm looking at it out my window across the street. There's a courthouse that has all the courtrooms. We have a county sheriff whose office is in there. There are all kinds of offices in the building that we're in. Our own offices, as well as a treasurer's office. They handle the money that comes in through things like taxes. And there's an office for people who want to get married. They come here to file paperwork. For people when they buy houses and sell houses and property, they do that here. You can come here to get a dog license. You can come here to register to vote, and all kinds of other things that go on throughout the county, through county government. So I was, up until I was elected to this job and took office just this past January, I was actually a high school social studies teacher for 26 years. And for 19 of those years, just up until December, I was a teacher at Bucks County Technical High School, which is in Fairless Hills. That's a school that serves Bristol Borough, Bristol Township, Marsville, Bensalem, Pennsbury, and Neshaminy School District students. We know that there's also a Central Bucks Tech School and an Upper Bucks Tech School that serves the students in the central and upper parts of the county. You can see the B over my shoulder. That's from Bristol High School. That's where I went to school. And I actually live in the Pennsbury School District. My son graduated from Pennsbury 4 years ago, and my daughter is a senior at Pennsbury right now. She'll be graduating next month. So, and I will pass this on to Commissioner DiGirolamo.
Hey, thank you, Bob. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to the students. I know a bunch of you are on here also, and maybe as well as their parents that are here today. Good to be with you. And maybe just a little bit about what we've been going through and probably why we're doing this today. And, this is certainly unprecedented, this coronavirus that we're dealing with right now. I saw a story or a news brief because this is the worst health crisis that we have dealt with in our country for over 100 years. And it was back in 1918 when we had the Spanish flu epidemic, which created havoc like it's creating today and killed an awful lot of people. But I saw a news clip that a set of twins who were born during the pandemic of 1918. And tragically and very unfortunately, one of the sets of twins died because of the Spanish flu as an infant. And the twin, his brother, who is now 102 years old, also has contacted the coronavirus 102 years later. So I thought that was pretty crazy that happened. But we are all struggling with this. I have at home with me and my wife Donna, we have a fourth grader grandson who's living with us. So we have been helping him with the virtual classroom and the learning, and I know probably many of the students out there have been doing the same thing. And I know it's not ideal. My fourth grader would love to be back in school, believe it or not, and I'm sure a lot of you would rather be back in school as well. So it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy for any of us, but I just want to thank you for your patience, and all of you, the students and the parents, for trying to do your very best to follow the restrictions that we have on right now about staying at home and social distancing and wearing masks and watching your hands. And I mean, we really appreciate it, and it is making a difference here in Bucks County. Because we have done very, very well. As a matter of fact, yesterday was the first time that we did not have any new positive tests in the community. Now, there were other positive tests in the nursing home and other places, but in the community where somebody tested positive, where they didn't know where they got the virus, was the first time that there were none in Bucks County. So I think we are making progress. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and we're happy to do this today. And just real quickly, a little bit about my background. I've lived in Bucks County my whole life. Was born and still live in Bensalem. I graduated from Bishop Egan High School in 1968. So that's a long time ago. That's 52 years ago. My dad actually graduated from Bensalem High School in 1940. I had 4 children. And they're all grown up now, but they all graduated from schools here in Bucks County. And I find it a little interesting that all 4 of my children graduated from a different high school in the lower part of Bucks County. One from Bensalem, one from Holy Ghost Prep, another from Bishop Egan, my alma mater, and my youngest daughter graduated from Village O. Marie. So 4 children, and they all graduated from 4 different high schools. So good to be with you today, and I hope we can learn a little, we can teach you a little something, and maybe we can learn a little bit from you as well along the way. Thank you.
So Jean, real quick, before I do the first question, what is Bucks County's official bird? Do you know?
I do know that. I believe it's the cardinal.
You're right. It is the cardinal. There you go.
Correct.
Thanks very much. So I'm going to start with some questions for everybody. And I want to just reiterate to all of you how brave you are to walk through this pandemic and to stay home and to be able to do your work on computers. I'm really proud of all the students in Bucks County. So here's our first question. She has a number of questions. So I'm going to put 2 of them together and then come back and ask her other one question. It's Elora Duffin. She is a 4th grader. Elora is a brown belt in karate. So she has a couple questions. She wants to know if it's okay to go out and play with her friends if they all have a mask on, and if they stay 7 to 8 feet apart from each other. They wouldn't have any contact with us, and it would let them be able to see each other, and they're pretty bored. Also, she's asking along with that, if she has a fire in her backyard, like a bonfire, are we allowed to have some friends over and roast marshmallows together? Of course, they would stay 7 to 8 feet apart. So that's a tough question, and I'm sure the best answer is for you to do what your parents said, and your parents can always check with our health department or your pediatrician or doctor to see what they would say. But I love the idea that you know that you have to be at least 6 feet apart. I love that you know that. I love that you're comfortable with a mask on, and I know you're bored, but maybe you can figure a way to do some bonfires by computer, and that way you don't even have to start the actual fire. Commissioner Harvey, you got a guess on that, answer on that one?
No, it's certainly your parents really care about you and want to do what's best for you. Certainly being outside is a little bit safer than being inside because the virus isn't going to spread quite as easily. But again, you still have to be, whether you're outside or inside, you have to be a good distance apart. And the other thing is you have to make sure that you and everybody you're with feel good. Do you feel, do you feel sick at all? Does anybody have a runny nose or a sore throat or something like that? And that even if they do, it doesn't actually mean they might have the virus. But you just want to make sure everybody's safe around you. But I know that certainly in my family we have a little fire pit outside. We've done that a couple nights just because it is getting bored. And my kids are older. One's in college and one's in high school, but they're bored too. They want to go around and see their friends, and it is tough. And we sympathize with you on that, especially now that the weather's nicer. We know it's really it's getting hard. There's only I know this might be a hard thing to believe, but there's only so much SpongeBob you can watch before you need to go out. You really want to go outside. But, as much as I love SpongeBob, so. But listen to your parents, and again, as Commissioner Marseglia said, our health department can certainly answer some questions. And there's all kinds of information on the website for the health department, the Center for Disease Control, what's called the CDC. They have information too. That's a federal government site from Washington, so you can take a look at that too, or have your parents look at that.
Yeah, I just would go along with what both of my fellow commissioners have said. I mean, I think listening to your parents, I think, is the best advice that we can give you. I mean, the safety precautions, if you're going out, I mean, I would say if it's just with one or two friends and you're staying distance, like maybe playing basketball or something like that, and your parents are okay with it, and there's not a lot of children, I would say that's probably would be all right, and you're wearing masks and staying away from each other. But again, I think the best advice I can give you is that, just listen to your parents and what they think is safe for you to do. I think you'll be on solid ground.
Thanks. So Laura had a couple other questions. One I'm going to answer, and then I'll pass the other question off to Jean, and then Bob, if you'd like to. She says she said this is her fourth question. How is it about younger people? Should they go to the store for older people? My mother and her friend have been going to the store to get groceries for my grandparents, and my brother and I have been staying home and letting my mother go to the store alone for our own health. Your mother's right. It is not just for your own health. It's that we want to only have one person from every family going to a store, because we keep doubling the amount of people who are in the store who could have the virus or you could catch the virus. We really just want one person per family. So your mom's right. Do what she says. The other question, and I'll give this to Jean, and then Bob, you can answer, is that her family has been making masks for people in nursing homes, for family and friends. She wants to know if there's anything else that they can do to be helpful to people out there, and are they making the masks helpful? Jean, any thought on that?
Well, I mean, I think making masks and offering for wherever nursing homes or maybe even hospitals or police departments, or calling up the municipality where you live at and asking them if they know any groups or organizations that might need masks. I think that is a really, really good thing to do. And just going back to your other question, because I think that's a great question about older people who are living in their homes and other younger people going out and buying them groceries or whatever so that they can stay in their home. I mean, that's exactly what we're doing, because I have a 92-year-old mom, and she lives by herself. She lives next to my sister. But both me and my sister are, if she needs anything, we're going out and getting it for her and not letting her leave the house. And as Commissioner Marseglia has said, when people go out shopping, or families, one member from the family, that's ideal to go. So there's not so many people in the store, in the grocery store. I think that is absolutely the right thing to do. And please remember, everyone has to wear masks when they're out shopping. So I think we have to use a lot of common sense with this and follow the restrictions that are out there. And again, also, if you have any questions, you can call our Department of Health up here in Bucks County if something's not clear to you, and get some guidance from our Department of Health.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you for thinking about other people. and thinking about those who are going to be in need, and those who maybe can't get out as easily, or may be more susceptible to get sick if they're exposed to other people. We do want to limit, contact. And as Commissioner Marseglia said, we're trying to make it so that you only have one person going to the store at a time, if that's possible. And I think Commissioner DiGirolamo's suggestions are good. There are organizations and charities out there that are doing food drives and doing things like, masks for people that work in hospitals and people that work in nursing homes, and for police officers and firefighters and those kinds of things. But even thinking about, some of the organizations that give out food to people at different times, if you're able to and you're comfortable doing it, going to the areas where they do food deliveries to food pantries, and helping to stock the boxes with food, or helping just to put the food in people's cars. They're always looking for people that just to do that kind of work. So there are a lot of things that can be done. And in some cases, it's just, reaching out and talking to some of your friends. Snapchat is great, and Instagram is great, but sometimes just picking up the phone and talking is a great way to connect with people. With people you haven't seen, and maybe think about some of the students and you'd be in class with, you'd be on the playground with, or in the cafeteria with, or maybe if you play sports or do dance, or when you're with karate, the kids that you're in those kinds of activities with, and just spend every day, call a different kid, just to talk and see what they're doing, and that kind of human connection is even better. Don't get mad. It's better than Snapchat.
Thank you. So I am actually going to give the next question directly to Commissioner Harvey. But before that, I just wanted to say that Commissioner Harvey and I had, we don't always get along on everything. Sometimes we even learn from each other. And this morning we had a little debate, because I told him that the Logan Inn in New Hope is the oldest continuously operating inn in Bucks County. My understanding is that George Washington was served there, and there are 4 ghosts there now. So Commissioner Harvey says I'm wrong. Is that true? Am I wrong?
The King George Inn on Radcliffe Street in Bristol Borough is the oldest continually operated inn, I believe, in North America. So not even just the United States. So it actually goes back even earlier than that. So
I guess you got me on that.
Sorry.
But while we're here, here's a question that you are definitely going to get. This is from Abigail Mahalik. She is a 9th grader at Bucks County Tech School, and she said that she is a freshman this year, and her biggest question is she allowed to leave her house and go to a local park? And her second question is, when will Bucks County reopen? Commissioner Harvey.
Abby, I hope you're being good for Mrs. McKinley, because Abby was one of my students. So now the teacher who sort of took over for me, I think is, a friend of mine, and I'm sure she's doing a great job. But I do miss having Abby and her classmates and seeing them. Abby, you have to go back to our first question, which was kind of similar to this. You have to listen to your guardians, and who are the people that care about you. Certainly there's some good reasons to go outside and exercise, go for a walk, do those kinds of things. But we always have to make sure that people are doing it safely. And so we are seeing a lot of people at our parks who are keeping socially distant, or wearing masks, and doing the kinds of things that, that they can do to keep themselves safe and keep others safe. One of the things to keep in mind is that there are a lot of people who have had this virus who didn't realize they had it. They could be passing on the virus to people not knowing. They feel, well, I feel fine. I don't feel sick. And maybe they do have the virus, and they might spread it to somebody who might not have the same immune system. They may be a little weaker immune system. So just got to think about other people as well. In terms of Bucks County moving from red to yellow, we're hoping that we can do that at some point soon. We've gotten a lot of good data. We're relying on the statistics that our health department's been gathering from all the cases here in Bucks County, and we are seeing that we're moving in the right direction in a lot of ways. And so we're hopeful that sometime soon we'll be allowed to move from the red to the yellow stage, which there'll still be some businesses that'll be closed. There'll still be social distancing. There'll still be masks. There'll still be curbside service, but there will be kind of a step forward in some ways toward getting back to normal.
Thanks. Commissioner DiGirolamo, any thought on that?
I think Bob addressed it, but part of the question I think was, can I leave my house and go to a local park? Was part of Abigail's question. And at first, and again, I'll go back to what we said before. I mean, you have to have your parents' permission before that they'll allow you to do that. Now, I know our county parks are now open. They're not open all the way, but they're open for people to, ride their bikes or take walks or do passive recreation thing. And I know many of our local municipalities have also opened up some of their local township parks as well. I'm not quite sure if they all have, but I know quite a few of them have. So if they're open and the park is open and your parents allow you to go visit the park, I mean, I would say, yes, you can go and enjoy the park, whether they're, a local park or a county park. So I think that's the best advice I can give you, to follow your parents' direction and being able to do that.
Thanks. So our next question is from Maggie. Maggie is a 10th grader at Pennsbury High School. I graduated from Pennsbury in 1978, as I said before. This is very interesting to me, and I think it's important. Maggie says that she feels so much better now that she is getting sleep because school's closed and she's home. She can concentrate better, and in her mornings are not so miserable because she's not fighting with her mother about getting up on time. Maggie went and read on the CDC's website that sleep helps the body to build antibodies to fight the coronavirus. So now she's worried about returning to school. She doesn't get much sleep on school nights because she has to get up at 6 in the morning. So she wants to know if when they go back to school in the fall, can it start later? So the first thing I want to say is I have to tell you, there are some school districts across the country that are looking at the studies that have been done on sleep and finding that teenagers need more sleep and younger students get up earlier. We all know young kids get up early. So there's a movement out there to have high school start later, and I think that's a great idea. When I finish this question, I'm going to ask Commissioner Harvey and Commissioner DiGirolamo as well to give some feedback on how we get schools to change. And I think it's terrific that you and your mom are getting better along this way because you're getting sleep. I guess when we go back to school, if they haven't changed the time, you're going to have to slowly over the summer start getting yourself used to going to school, to going to bed a little bit earlier so that you can wake up. Really appreciate the fact that you brought this up and that you went on the CDC's website too. Commissioner Harvey?
Well, here's the good news. The good news is that I taught for 26 years in high schools, and I will tell you that I believe absolutely high schools especially should start later. I think they start too early, and I'm actually I kind of like waking up early. I used to get up at 5:30 in the morning and still kind of do. I never got out of that rhythm, so I'm kind of still an early riser. I know Commissioner DiGirolamo is too. But the bad news is that the Bucks County Commissioners do have control over some things. We do not control when schools start. So we can certainly, let people know what our thoughts. But that's something you can do too. See, every school district does have a school board that's elected. And those are people from your community. And they have regular meetings. Their meetings are Zoom meetings now, like everybody else's meetings are Zoom meetings. But you can reach out to the school board and you can let them know that starting later. I think actually Bensalem School District was looking at this a little bit, and others may be too. The idea of starting later. And it's certainly something you can share, and you can get some of your classmates together and see if there's some kind of committee that you can start some dialogue with your local elected official to see about changing the hours of school, starting later. I know some states, like Commissioner Marseglia said, some states, some cities, some school districts across the country have already done that. So I think it's a good idea.
Commissioner DiGirolamo, any feedback on that? I'm also thinking you worked as a state representative. You might know a little bit about how those laws change.
Yeah, and I also, as Commissioner Harvey said, I also think it's a good idea. that high school students should start a little bit later. And again, Commissioner Harvey's suggestion about going to your local school board. I know they have a public portion of each and every meeting, so maybe you could get together yourself and some of your friends who feel the same way about it and attend a school board meeting and, speak to the issue in front of your school board and let them know how you feel and maybe your friends feel. I'm not quite sure about this, but I'm also believe that you could probably do it also by passing a law in the state up in Harrisburg, kind of like mandating that high school students, if that's what you're looking to do, that the high schools have to start at a certain time and no earlier. I think you could probably do it that way also. So if that's the case, then you could probably go see your local elected state representative or local elected state senator and give them a call. And, I would go in and see them personally and let them know that, you and your friends and others think it's a good idea that school starts a little later, and maybe see if they would propose a law up at Harrisburg that school could start at a certain time. I'm not quite sure. There might be some argument the other way, but you could certainly try with your school board and also with your elected state officials, your state representative and your state senator. Thank you.
Thanks. So before we get to our next question, I just was thinking a little bit of trivia that might give some of you something to do if you can get your parent to take you for a ride in the car. We have something very unique in Bucks County, and that's our covered bridges. We have 12 covered bridges. So that's a really good thing to do, is to get in the car and try to find all 12 covered bridges. I tried it one time myself. Some of them are pretty far away. It can take a whole day, maybe 2 days, to find all those bridges. So there's something to do in Bucks County. So here's two questions I'd like my colleagues to try. These are both from 12th graders, so I'm going to read both of them. The first is Brendan Keller, who says, when will he be allowed to go back into the school to get things out of his lockers? I didn't even think about that one. And the second question isn't anonymous, but it says, is there any advice for us high school seniors who are going to miss out on proms and graduations? Do we think that any of this will be scheduled for later this summer? It's really been tough on them to miss out on the last few months of school. Commissioner Harvey, do you want to start on that?
Yeah, I was hoping I saw those. I was hoping I'd get a chance to answer those. And I'm glad we have the time to do it, especially because I have a senior. One of my daughters is a senior. And so I understand very well, she already had her dress bought for the prom. And certainly she went to Pennsbury, and she was going to be a part of sports night, which is, a big event. It was in late March that, against Orange against the Black, and that was canceled. And she had put in a lot of time on that. So certainly it's one of the more of the many things that are sort of upsetting about everything that's happening. It's one of those things that we know, certainly that experience, that senior year experience is so much involved in it. I'll take the easy question first, which is about your things in your locker and things like that. My daughter has a health issue, and so she actually had supplies in the nurse's office. So she did call, actually emailed her guidance counselor, and let her know that there were supplies in the nurse's office and wanted to know when she could go get them. And they arranged for her to go at a certain time and meet somebody to take her to the office and pick up those supplies. And that worked very well. So that would be my recommendation. I would hope that the districts themselves are working out a plan for that in terms of letting kids into their classrooms to get the things they may have left behind. My daughter was taking a ceramics class, and so there are some pieces that she had made that were pretty much finished that she's going to have to go back and get at some point, and there's not a lot of clarity on that. And so that's certainly something that we can bring up. We actually have conversations with superintendents, and so that's something to again, school board members, or call the principal, or contact your guidance counselor about that. Graduations, I do know there are some schools that are looking to try and do something for graduation, whether it's a virtual graduation or an in-person graduation. I don't I don't know about proms. That's one of those kinds of events that is going to require people, obviously, to be closer together than 6 feet. Even old people like myself, when we used to dance at dances, we weren't 6 feet apart. So that's true now too. But I wish I could say that those were going to go on. We don't have answers to that. That's something I know the superintendents of the school districts are really struggling with, because they understand how important it is, and just education in general, and the online schooling. I see a question on that too. So, I think there'll be something for graduations. I don't know about the other social events. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much more to add. I mean, I know, even though I graduated such a long time ago, how much I was looking forward to my prom. So I know how frustrated you must be that you can't do it. And I know everybody looks forward to their prom. And as far as doing it at a time later during the summer, I mean, I just can't give you anything that would be solid information. I mean, I guess that's a possibility, but it also depends on the virus and where we're at with the virus. And that's a determination that I guess the school district would have to make later in the year. But again, it depends on where we're at with the virus. And again, your health and safety is our main concern, and your school's main concern as well. So we want to make sure whatever decisions that we're making as far as graduation goes, as far as the prom goes, or anything else, that we want to make sure your health is first, your safety is our main priority. So that's what we're going to be looking at. And again, as far as graduation, I've heard some of the school districts are planning something, again, whether it be virtual or whatever they're planning. I know some of the school districts are planning to do something. I think, where we're at right now, obviously, by the middle of June, I don't think it's going to be safe for everybody to get together in a stadium or in a school to graduate. I don't think that's going to happen. But hopefully the school district will figure out something for graduation for you. Diane?
Thank you. Thanks. So we have a question coming up, and this is a really difficult question and a hard one, but it is from Zabian. Zabian, what a question. Zabian's in first grade, and he wants to know how the coronavirus got started. That is a really tough question, and it's a great question from a first grader. So we're going to take a little bit of this on for each of us. They are not completely sure, but my understanding from what we've been told is that it started in China, that it was somehow came from an animal. I think there has been time I heard it was a bat. There was one time I heard it was a bird. I heard snake. I'm not really sure. And then it started to spread just the way it is spread in the United States. It went from person to person to person. And then, of course, people travel. So when people traveled to different countries, it went to different countries. Commissioner Harvey, anything different you want to add to that?
No, I think that's pretty good. I mean, I don't know if Zabian has any pets at home, but different kinds of animals get different kinds of sicknesses. There are certain kinds of illnesses that turtles might get that human beings don't, or cats might get that human beings don't, and dogs don't. And then very rarely, like as you heard Commissioner DiGirolamo say, similar thing 100 years ago as now. Very rarely, sometimes a disease that affects one kind of animal changes just a little bit, and then it can actually affect other kinds of animals, including us. And so that's kind of what happened here. So that's what it seems like anyway. And it's kind of what makes it very unique, that it hasn't really happened like that before. And it makes it a little bit tough to figure out how to help people who are sick get better, and how to keep people from getting sick, because it's coming from that very kind of weird kind of way, jumping from one kind of animal to another animal. And this doesn't mean you have to be afraid of your turtle. Doesn't mean you have to be afraid of your cat, but that's the way it seems to have moved.
Yeah, that's just a great question, especially Fabian, first grade. That's a really good question. I mean, I don't know any more than what I'm reading in the newspaper and watching the news. So, I mean, I think it's pretty clear originated in China. And, it started spreading in China. And then I'm assuming that people in China started traveling around the world to the United States, to Europe and other countries, and passed the virus on that way. I think the scientists and the investigators are really looking at, and they want to try to really find out how it started, because that would help them in the future in fighting viruses and pandemics in the future. From what I've been reading and hearing is that again, as Commissioner Harvey said, they think it came from an animal. I mean, I know there's some scientists who believe that the bat was the originator of it, and it bit an animal, and then another animal transferred it over to humans. I mean, I think that's one of the theories that they're certainly exploring. There is also another theory, and again, it's just a theory out there, that it could have possibly came and got out from some type of laboratory that was over in China, where they were experimenting with viruses, and it probably could have got out accidentally and infected humans, but that's certainly not for sure. So hopefully in the future that they're going to find out how it started, because I think that's really important when it comes to them fighting another virus in the future. Diane?
Thanks very much. Thanks. So before I ask the next question, here's something for everybody to do, and I'll ask you, my colleagues if they have any idea what the answer to part of this question is. There is a movie called Signs that was filmed right here in Bucks County. So since everybody thinks they're bored, I think you all need to find Signs, rent it, find a way to get it on the internet or something. Signs is kind of a scary movie, so watch it with your parents. But there are 3 places that were shot in Bucks County, where they did the movie shooting. Do you guys know any? Commissioner Harvey, Commissioner DiGirolamo, do you know where they filmed the movie Signs? Any guesses?
I have 2 of them. I know one. There was one scene. Go ahead, Gene.
Go ahead, Bob. Finish.
I think there was a scene in Newtown, I think on Main Street, and I actually think part of it was shot in Morrisville too.
Any other guesses, Gene, on the 3rd place?
I was going to say Newtown. I think it was right in the borough, Newtown borough, I think, where they filmed a good part of it. Other than that, I would not know any place else other than Newtown.
The 3rd place was some of the farm fields at Delaware Valley College up here by Doylestown. So moving on, the next question is, what is something that we would like students to know about county government that they might not know? And what is the best way for students to get involved in their local government? So we'll probably each share a little bit about county government. Most often people ask me, what does a commissioner do? So there are 3 commissioners, as you can see. We get elected to office every 4 years, and we just took office this past January before the pandemic hit. And I'll just tell you a few things that we do. We actually monitor the county jail, the county children and youth, which is where they take care of kids who've had abuse or neglect. We are in charge of health department, so that's who's handling the pandemic right now. We are in charge of elections, so the Board of Election, there'll be an election on June 2nd. It's our job to make sure that the polls are all open for that. We have parks, we have 20 parks, and I believe we have like 124 bridges. My colleagues will have more things to say about that. I will tell you that the reason I got started, even interested in politics, was working polls. So if you are 17 or older, you can go ahead and work a poll, and we are paying $195 for that if you're interested in working. So that's one way to get involved in government. The other way is to get some practice is run for student council in your high school. I would bet you any amount of money all of us did that at one point. We all served in some kind of high school, elementary, or college government. And finally, it's always good to go, as we talked about with trying to get the school times changed, go to a school board meeting. Come to one of our commissioner meetings. Everybody's doing it virtually right now, so it's even easier for you. When you go to watch local government in action, I think you're going to get real attached to it. It's interesting. Commissioner DiGirolamo, I'll go with you next. Did you have any answer to that?
Yeah.
To what do you want students to know
Yes.
about local government and how they can get involved?
I became a county commissioner in January. Me and Commissioner Harvey were sworn in January. So we've really been only in the job for like about four months or so. So, and before I was county commissioner, I was a state representative for 25 years up in Harrisburg, representing the Ben-Salem area. And one of the things that I worked on up in Harrisburg was issues that dealt with health and human services. And when I talk about human services, I talk about issues like mental health and drug and alcohol, autism, people with all kinds of disabilities. And when I decided to run for county commissioner, one of the things that attracted me to the job was that 3/4 of our county's budget, which is over $500 million, dealt with issues that deal with health and human services. And we are kind of here in Bucks County when it comes to human services and health, kind of like a safety net. Because when you look at Bucks County, and it's a large county, there's 640,000 people approximately that live in Bucks County. We are, let me make sure I get this right, I think the 4th largest county in the state. First is Philadelphia, second is Allegheny and Pittsburgh. Third is Montgomery County, which we're right next door, and then we are the 4th largest county. So we have a lot of people here in Bucks County, and we also have a lot of need. There is homelessness here in Bucks County. There is poverty. There are people who are hungry, and there are people who have health issues and mental health issues and drug and alcohol problems. So the county is like the safety net to take care of people who might not have health insurance, who need help with a drug addiction or with alcoholism, who have mental health issues, who need help with a disability, senior citizens who are in need. So that's what very much attracted me to the job. And again, the county is the safety net to help these people out when they're in need and can't get help or do not have health insurance. So that is a big part of what the county does. We take care of residents who are in need and who are our most vulnerable. And that's the best part of the job for me.
Yeah, I don't want to add too much. We have some good questions coming up, and I want to make sure we get to them. But just so people, for students to know, I mean, everybody knows, the president, and that there's a government in Washington D.C. that does different things, senators and representatives, and you may know who our 2 senators are. You may know who our congressman is. If you don't, you should find out the names of those 3 people. Maybe you know something about local government, from things going on in your town or township. Maybe you know something about your school board. But it's funny, the county government is sort of a level that people forget about. And a lot of adults don't know much about county government. And so just knowing that there is one and hearing what Commissioner Marseglia and Commissioner Deidre Almuch has talked about, things that we do, is important. Everybody now knows who their governor is. People were saying that's this virus has been sort of a civics lesson, a government lesson for people that didn't know who their governor was, and not just here, but in every state. And now they do. But just knowing that there is a county government and we're elected by you. So if you're old enough to vote, go ahead and register. If you're 17, figure out how to register. Once your if your 18th birthday is before the next election, you're allowed to register now, even if you're not 18 yet. So just keep that in mind, and the fact that you put people in these places. You have a say over who runs your schools in your towns, in your county, in your state. The old line: if you don't vote, don't complain.
Thanks. I'm going to just talk for a little bit about something that I think is real important, but it's based on the question. Then I'm going to ask another question and hand it back to you guys. This question is from Jill from Langhorne. Jill's concern is about kids, especially teenagers, who are having a difficult time right now. That many of these kids may suffer from anxiety or depression. They may have issues with autism and things like that. And they're getting more depressed as they have to stay home longer and longer. And she's worried that it's already been 2 months and we've got a few months ahead of us because of summer vacations. So I just wanted to share some numbers, and when it gets back to me again, I'm going to repeat these numbers in case anybody needs to get a pen or a pencil to write them down. But if any of you at any age are feeling sad, or you're feeling anxious and you feel like, geez, you really want to talk to somebody, and maybe you'd like to talk to somebody confidentially, just want to be able to pick up the phone or the text and be able to say how you're really feeling in your heart right now, we have a couple numbers. I'm going to say them quick, but I'll say them again. One is 1-800-499-7455. The other is 1-877-435-7709. I will say them again. Or you can text NAMI. They have a texting system where you can talk to people just through text, and that's 741-741. NAMI is also, that's the National Alliance of Mental Illness, NAMI. I would encourage any parent who is worried or concerned about your students. They have terrific resources online for both you and for students. They even have some online groups going on. So I'll say those numbers again in a minute, but I'm going to pass this off to my colleagues after I just say the question. This is from a 6th grader. He wants to know, or she, whether we will have to wear masks when we go back to school and any tips on making one from home. As I pass that off, you will see the one I made using my daughter's hair ties, and I cut the Bucks County logo off of a t-shirt. So Bob, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, if you go to what's called cdc.gov, there is actually a link link to a video that's by the Surgeon General, who's sort of the top sort of doctor in the government, and he shows how to make take a t-shirt and 2 rubber bands and make it into a mask. And the good thing about that kind of mask is that you can wash it. You know, just a regular t-shirt, you cut the bottom of it off, you fold it a couple times, and you can use rubber bands. Obviously, YouTube has a lot of videos on how to make homemade masks. I know a lot of people have been doing that on their own. And so I think that's a great question.
Gene?
Yeah, I mean, as far as having to wear masks when you go back to school in September, I mean, first of all, I mean, I'd like to say, and this is just my opinion, but I think the schools are definitely going to be back in September. When we see the way this thing is going, I mean, I think the children will definitely back to school in September. Now, whether you're going to have to wear a mask or not, or maybe follow some social distancing guidelines, I mean, I don't think that's quite clear yet. I mean, we're going to have to wait and see how things go during the summer. But, you know, possibly you might have to wear a mask. I mean, I don't think anybody can give you a definite decision right now. But I think you're going to be back to school in September. I know everybody hopes that that's going to happen. And whether you're going to have to wear a mask or not, I just don't think that's clear. But hopefully we'll know sometime in the future here during the summer whether you'll have to wear the mask or not.
Hi, I'm back. I think those numbers I said may be posted in the chat if you can see them. If not, we'll make sure we add them in there, and I will repeat them a little bit later on. Just a couple quick questions we have here. I'm going to combine them. One is not from a student, but they want to know. It's Lynn Doyle. She wants to know how we're going to get the school buses cleaned. And the other question is from Brendan Keller. He's a 12th grader at Upper Bucks Tech, and he wanted to know if the community pools are going to open this summer. Let me just answer that, and then we'll go on with maybe another one. We don't clean the buses. The school districts do, so I'm not sure that I know about that. Maybe the other commissioners do. As far as the pools, you know, we just aren't sure yet. What we've heard from our health department doctor is that chlorine kills the virus, but it's a matter of the social distancing and people be getting too close together once they're in the pool or just outside the pool. Commissioner Harvey?
No, I think it's a good answer. I know maybe Brian might be looking to, maybe I don't know if he's a lifeguard at the pool looking for that. I know that's something that we really just don't know yet about summer camps and about pools, community pools and things of that nature. It really is more the social distancing. That's the problem with the pools. It's not so much, being in the water because the virus doesn't transmit that way. But in terms of keeping people separated and keeping them in the social distancing, that's where we're going or what we're thinking of. the bus question in schools, this virus doesn't really live very long outside of the human body. So buses that have been empty for 2 months, any virus that may have been there is gone. Now, it's never a bad thing to clean school buses. So I would hope the school districts would take the opportunity to be doing that now, just because it's a good thing to do anyway. But that's something that I think we should keep in mind. And I just want to kind of piggyback off of something that Commissioner Marseglia said regarding concern about being at home and feeling isolated and worrying about the impact of that psychologically. There is an app you can get on your phone. I'll just show you the screen here. Don't make fun of my phone. Okay. This is the screen. Okay, Safe to Say is the app. Okay, and that is something launched by the Pennsylvania Attorney General. And what you can do downloading that app, you can make an anonymous contact to school district officials and even to the state if you or somebody a student, a friend, is having a problem and you're really worried about them, or if you're really worried about yourself, you can do that kind of a tip, and so that they can get the help that they need, and you don't have to worry about them, because some students don't want to call anybody about their friend. They're worried about them, but they're afraid of losing the friendship. They're afraid the friend will be mad at them. This way you can do it anonymously, and you can get your friend the help they might need. So keep that in mind. Safe to Say, you can download it, it's free. Okay, so something to keep in mind.
Commissioner DiGirolamo?
Yeah, as far as the swimming pools go, and we've had some conversations about this. We've discussed this with with Dr. Damsker, who's at the Department of Health. Does the coronavirus, is that able to be transmitted in pools, through the water? And I believe he said that he doesn't believe that can happen because of the chlorine in the pool, that it actually might kill any semblance of virus. So, I don't know if we move the yellow, maybe Commissioner Marseglia, you might know if Bucks County would move from the red to the yellow. Are swimming pools included in being able to open? I'm not quite sure. I thought I heard that was true, but I'm not quite 100% sure.
I think I heard it was possible. So
Okay.
that does come under our health department. So I think we'd have to turn to our health director once we were under yellow and give him an opportunity to weigh that out.
So, I think we'll just have to wait for a little guidance moving forward on whether the pools can be open. And I know there's a lot of the summer camp or the summer camps that children really enjoy going to. And I know there's a lot of question about whether they're going to be able to open for the summer as well. And again, right now, that's just not clear that we're going to be able to do that. Hopefully that could happen. We're just not certain right now. And again, it depends on what the virus does and how well we get it under control from here on out.
Thank you. So you guys know all about texting. As we were doing this, our health department doctor said that if we do it safely and we're under yellow, we could get to open those community pools. So there's the answer. And you can see how closely in touch we all stay. I'm going to go backwards and finish this with Commissioner Harvey today. I think he has something he'd like to share with everybody. But I wanted to thank everybody for joining us for this town hall. I wanted to tell you that I keep thinking, I don't know if I would have been able to stand this. So I'm really proud of all you students for hanging in there through this virus. This is an amazing thing that we're all walking through it with you. So as I give it to Commissioner DiGirolamo to be able to say some final remarks, I just wanted to ask him, we have 2 places in Bucks County that are named sort of after the person who did something there. William Penn, and William Penn is who named Bucks County. I believe it was in 1682. So if you wanted to get to know him better, I'm wondering where you would go to visit. And the second question is, everybody knows George Washington. He was the father of our country. If you wanted to remember him by his name, where it could go in Bucks County? So handing it off to you, there's the William Penn place and the Washington.
Well, thank you. I don't know if I know the answers to those questions, but I would like to share just real quickly a little bit of, I don't know if it's trivia, but it's something that I've always found interesting, and I knew about this for a long time, and it's our historical society because I grew up in Bensalem. We have a very historic mansion in Bensalem. It's called the Groudon Mansion, and it was named after somebody, Joseph Groudon, who was during the Revolutionary War and before the Revolutionary War was a very prominent citizen and a very, very good friend of Benjamin Franklin. And everybody certainly knows Benjamin Franklin, one of our founding fathers. And they were such good friends that Benjamin Franklin used to spend much of his summer days in Bensalem at the Groudon Mansion with his good friend Joseph Groudon. And there is a reference somewhere, and our historical society in Bensalem knows about it, that the famous kite experiment, when Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity, could very possibly have been in Bensalem and not in Philadelphia. And the site was where the Neshaminy Mall is right now, because that's very, very high ground and very close to where the Groudon Mansion is. So I just think that's really incredible to believe that Benjamin Franklin could have discovered electricity right here in right here in Bucks County and not in Philadelphia. So I just wanted to end with that and share it with everybody. Thank you.
And as we go to Bob, so the two places were Pennsbury Manor and Washington Crossing Park. So thanks. Go ahead, Bob.
All right, and I do know there were a couple of questions we didn't get to, so I apologize for not getting to all of them. One was about online learning and a child who isn't unfortunately getting as much out of it, and it's that's obviously that's part of the problem. I mean, there really is no substitute for having that interaction with teachers and being in the school and working with other students. I know no school was prepared for having to move to online classes. And so it's really a tremendous adjustment that had to be made by every school district, that's been affected by this across the country. So all I could say is try and keep contact with the teachers. Maybe there's some other activities they could recommend. I know there's a great website called Khan Academy, which is KHAN Academy. There's all kinds of activities there, great appropriate for things like math and science and all kinds of things. Really, really wonderful. I used it with my students, my children, actually, my own children, not my students' children. But yeah, Khan Academy is great, free. So that's a resource you could use. I want to just end with there's an organization called Network of Victims Assistance called NOVA, and they do have a website which is novabucks.org. And NOVA is a crime victim service here in Bucks County. They do counseling and they help people who have been victims of crime. And they usually do programs throughout all the schools throughout Bucks County all year long. Obviously, they haven't been able to do a lot of those programs because the school's being closed. So one of the things that they focused on, I think very smartly, they thought about the fact that a lot more kids are going to be at home. A lot of them are going to be online, on their phones, on laptops, doing schoolwork and other things. And they were concerned about internet safety and making sure that students understood internet safety. And so they actually ran a poster contest for students K through 12 here in Bucks County. You could design a poster, submit it, and they would judge which ones they thought were the best. And what they've asked us to do, since we are doing this, they found out we were doing this town hall, and they asked us to, show off the winners. You can, the winners themselves, you can see pictures of them on the website, novabucks.org. Nova Bucks also has a Facebook page, so you can look at them all and see stuff on Facebook. Or if you're curious about what Nova does, you can learn more about Nova, and see what services they offer. But I want to announce the winners here. They were very thankful for everybody who submitted. They had 3 categories. The kindergarten through 3rd grade category was won by Xavier Richards, 1st grader from Sellersville Elementary. Here's his poster that he did. There you go, Sabian. Nice job. I think Sabian actually was the 1st grader who asked us the question about the virus, too. Okay. And then we have in the 4th grade to 7th grade category, we have Anna Sechon, okay, from Sellersville Elementary, 5th grader. Here's Anna's. She's got a whole, ocean theme going. I love some of the puns here. on the sharks. I think I'm thinking that Anna really loves sharks. Okay, I like this one. Mako a strong password. That's a good one, right? The Mako shark is a deadly shark. Okay. Avoid fishy websites. That's a good one too. I like that one too. Okay. And finally, Noemi Neves Hoblin from CB West is a senior. She won for the 8th to 12th grade category, okay, in terms of internet safety. So great job for everybody who submitted. And for the winners, congratulations. And yes, please be safe when you're on the internet, when you're looking at sites. Make sure that you're not sharing any information with people you don't know. And obviously, always ask a parent or older brother, older sister, if they can help you if you have any questions on what sites are good or what sites aren't. All right. And thank you to everybody. Please stay safe and keep studying, keep working. Contact your teachers if you have questions and guidance counselors. They're there for you. They're there to try and help you. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you.